What if alien life has not been found in one big moment? What if it has been leaking through the cracks this whole time? Number 10. Organic molecules in deep space. This sounds dry until you realize what it ruins. For a long time, humans liked the idea that life needed something unbelievably rare to begin. A miracle planet, a freak accident, a perfect setup that almost never happens. That idea made Earth feel safely special. Then we started finding organic molecules out in space, not life itself, but the kind of carbon-based compounds life uses, pieces of the recipe, chemical building blocks, and they were not sitting in one lucky corner. They showed up in meteorites, in comets, in giant clouds of gas and dust drifting between stars, in places that looked too cold and too dead to matter. That changes everything before life even enters the picture, because it means the universe is not missing the ingredients. It is soaked in them. That does not prove life is everywhere, but it does mean Earth was not working with some secret material nobody else had. And once that sinks in, our planet stops looking like magic. It starts looking like one place where the chemistry got lucky enough to finish. Number 9. Mars used to look uncomfortably familiar. Mars is easy to dismiss if you only look at it now. It is cold, dry, damaged, the kind of place that looks like it lost its chance a long time ago. But the deeper we looked, the less dead it felt. Ancient river channels, old lake beds, minerals that form in water, signs that liquid water once moved across that planet for a very long time. Not one wet weekend, not one weird event, a real water history. And water is not a side detail in this story. Water is the detail. Water is what keeps showing up whenever life becomes possible. So the moment Mars stops looking like a permanently dead rock and starts looking like a world that once had rivers, lakes, rain, and a thicker atmosphere, the whole mood changes. Maybe life never started there. Maybe it did. Maybe it began and died. Maybe it slipped underground and never fully left. That is why Mars still gets under people's skin. It does not feel impossible. It feels unfinished. Number 8. Methane on Mars keeps making the planet look guilty. This is one of those discoveries that refuses to stay quiet. On Earth, methane often comes from life. Microbes make it. Living systems release it. Not always, but often enough that when methane shows up somewhere strange, people pay attention fast. So when Mars started showing hints of methane, that got everyone interested. Then it got annoying, because methane can also come from geology, rock reactions, heat, underground chemistry. So now we have this ugly middle zone where Mars seems to be producing or releasing a gas that could point to life, but not cleanly enough to shut the debate down. Some measurements found it, some did not. Some hinted it changes with time. Some suggested the source may be underground. That last part matters most, because underground is where Mars stops looking dead and starts looking hidden. The surface is brutal, cold, radiation, dryness, but below the ground is different, shielded, stable, private. So no, methane on Mars is not proof of alien microbes, but it is exactly the kind of thing a dead world should be embarrassed to be caught doing. Number 7. Europa and Enceladus may be hiding entire alien oceans. This is where our own solar system starts feeling way less empty than it is supposed to. Europa and Enceladus do not look friendly at first. They are icy moons, frozen shells, harsh surfaces, easy to write off. Then science ruined that, because both of them seem to hide huge oceans under their ice, not little pockets, not thin slush. Oceans, whole dark seas buried under frozen crust. That would already be enough to make people nervous. Then Enceladus made it worse. It started blasting plumes into space. Water vapor, ice grains, material from below, and inside those plumes, scientists found salts, organic compounds, and signs that warm rock may be interacting with water under the surface. That is a nasty set of ingredients. Water, chemistry, energy, time. Those 4 things keep showing up whenever life stops sounding like fantasy and starts sounding like a possibility. Europa and Enceladus are not just wet. They may be hiding entire living worlds under the ice while we kept staring at sunlit planets like that was the only place life was allowed to happen. That is the kind of blind spot humans are famous for. Number 6. Venus came back from the dead. Venus should have stayed ruled out. It is one of the ugliest places in the solar system if you are looking for friendly conditions: crushing pressure, brutal heat, thick toxic clouds, the kind of world people mention just to say, obviously, not there. Then the phosphine story happened. Researchers reported signs of phosphine in Venus's atmosphere, and people paid attention immediately because on Earth, phosphine is strongly tied to living processes or industrial activity. It is not the kind of gas you expect to see floating around in big amounts for no reason, so the obvious question showed up fast: what is making it? Then the fight started. Was the signal real? Was it weaker than first reported? Was it there at all? Good. That is what real science looks like when something lands too close to a dangerous idea. Messy, public, irritating. And the reason this still matters is simple. Venus had already been mentally buried. Then one weird clue dragged it back into the room. Not because it proved life, because it made serious people stop saying impossible. And once a planet stops being impossible, it stops being easy to ignore. Number 5. There are too many planets now. There was a time when planets around other stars felt theoretical, likely, maybe, probably. That time is gone. Now there are thousands of exoplanets, worlds around other stars, giant ones, small ones, overheated ones, strange ones, broken-looking ones, worlds that do not resemble anything in our own system. And mixed into that growing pile are planets sitting in regions where liquid water could exist under the right conditions. That phrase matters. Under the right conditions, because it means Earth is not the only stage left in the theater. It means the universe is not short on places where life could at least attempt something. Not guaranteed Earth copies, not paradise, not certainty, just chances, real chances. And once the number of chances gets stupidly large, the old human habit of acting like our setup must be absurdly rare starts to sound less like wisdom and more like denial. At some point, possible starts piling up so high it begins to feel rude to ignore. Number 4. Alien atmospheres are starting to snitch. One of the strangest things about modern astronomy is that we are learning about worlds we cannot visit by studying the thin skin of gas wrapped around them. Their atmospheres. And atmospheres tell on a planet, not with words, with chemistry, with odd mixtures, with combinations that should not last unless something keeps remaking them, gases that should break apart, patterns that should fade, signals that look wrong unless something active is happening below. On Earth, life does this all the time. Life changes the air. So when scientists study distant planets and start seeing water vapor, methane, carbon compounds, or other strange atmospheric combinations, the question shows up immediately. What keeps the air looking like that? Not proof. Not yet. But this may be how the first serious case for alien life begins. Not with a face, not with a ship, with chemistry that keeps acting like something down there refuses to stay quiet. The first alien discovery may not scream. It may show up as a planet whose atmosphere will not stop lying badly. Number 3. K2-18b made scientists fight like the answer was getting too close. This planet got famous for a reason. K2-18b is a distant world that drew serious attention because it may have conditions where water is possible, and because studies of its atmosphere sparked arguments over molecules that, on Earth, are linked to life-related processes. That needs caution. A lot of caution. The data is hard, the interpretations are messy, the headlines got ahead of themselves, like they always do. Fine, that is normal. But do not miss the bigger shift hiding underneath all that noise. We are now at the stage where scientists can study the atmosphere of a distant planet and genuinely argue over whether some of its chemistry might point to life. That is not science fiction anymore. That is just science. And messy science is often the stage right before something gets uncomfortably real. Maybe K2-18b turns out to be nothing. Maybe the exciting reading falls apart. That can happen. It still marks a line we crossed. We are not just asking whether alien life could exist. We are now close enough to the question that scientists can publicly fight over possible biosignatures on a world light years away. That is a different era, and different eras have a habit of ending in headlines. Number 2. Weird signals keep happening. You cannot do a list like this and avoid the signals, because every time the universe does something a little too strange, humans do the same thing. They stop. They lean in. They ask the old question again. Who did that? The most famous case is still the WOW signal, a strong narrowband radio signal detected in 1977 that looked unusual enough for an astronomer to literally write "wow" beside it. It was never explained cleanly enough to kill the mystery, and it never repeated in exactly the same way, which somehow made it worse. Then there are the other cases: fast radio bursts, repeating signals, strange events that briefly sound artificial before researchers drag them back toward natural explanations. Usually nature wins, that is true, but that is not the point. The point is that the moment something behaves just a little too strangely, the alien explanation walks back into the room like it owns the place. Because deep down, even serious people know the same thing. The universe has started producing too many moments that sound like maybe. One day, maybe is going to get expensive. Number 1. Life on Earth appeared way too fast. This might be the biggest discovery on the whole list, and it happened here. Life on Earth seems to have appeared shockingly early. As soon as conditions became even remotely survivable, life seems to have gotten started. Not after some endless delay, not after a miracle held off for ages. Early. That matters more than almost anything else on this list. Because if life began quickly here, then maybe life does not need some absurd stroke of luck after all. Maybe when chemistry, energy, and stability line up, life pushes in fast. If that is true, everything changes, because then Earth stops looking like a lone, impossible accident. It starts looking like an example. And once Earth becomes an example, all the other discoveries get louder. Organic molecules all over space. Ancient water on Mars, methane that should not still be causing trouble. Hidden oceans under ice. Worlds in habitable zones, atmospheres that look suspicious, signals that keep making people flinch. It stops feeling like random trivia. It starts feeling like pressure. Pressure on the old belief that life should be rare. So where does that leave us? Not with proof, not with certainty, but definitely not with the old clean picture either. The universe does not look as empty as it used to. It looks messy, fertile, half-finished, full of places where life could have started, may have started, or might still be hiding in forms we have not learned how to catch yet. And maybe that is how the biggest discovery begins, not with one perfect moment, not with a ship landing on a lawn, but with a growing pile of clues that becomes harder and harder to brush away without sounding dishonest. Maybe life is already out there, maybe it always was. And maybe the strangest part is not that we have not found it yet. Maybe the strangest part is how many times the universe has already cleared its throat.